to have a lot of returning guys, a lot of guys with some experience, a lot of guys with some knowledge, and to be able to infuse that veteran group with some really talented guys coming in either as freshmen or transfers has been really good. There's good energy, there's good excitement, and I think the guys are hungry for getting spring started here coming next week.
I think Jared versus return was huge for you guys. What was your reaction when you found out?
I was excited. One thing with Jared, I always wanted him to feel like he was doing what was best for himself. So when it came time for him to make that decision, I made a conscious effort not to really weigh in too much on it, other than if he asked me my opinion on something or my advice. Obviously, I wanted him to come back because I love coaching, but I wanted him to do what was best for him, and I was super excited when he made that decision. And now the work starts, and we started obviously about 6 weeks ago with it, but he came back for a reason, and that reason was to improve all areas of his game, and that's going to be our focus going into the spring.
What do you see out of Jared that he needs to maybe take that next step? I mean, he was already considered a first round, maybe a possibly projected first round pick. What does he need to do maybe to get better to stay on that level?
It was challenging for Jared a year ago, just from the standpoint that after the Louisville game and he got hurt, he was never truly fully healthy again, and so there was a lot of limitations in terms of his practice reps, and I just think defensive line is a position that the more repetitions that you get, the better you're going to play. And I just think there's some consistency in terms of pad level and run game and some technique things that he wants to work on, and that's what this spring is going to be all about, is just to give him that opportunity to really polish his game, and I think when that happens, it's going to take his game to a whole other level.
Do you have to worry about I guess we're the same consideration for a lot of guys who are older. Do you worry about, how many reps you give them during springs to maybe kind of save their bodies a little bit before they go into fall camp and off-season?
Yeah, we're going to be smart about how we use our guys. But, like he and I talked about when he made the decision to come back, you're coming back with a purpose and for a reason. And, we're not going to get better by just talking about it. We're going to have to go out there and work. But there is that fine line of being smart about how you use guys. And fortunately, we have so much depth, too. It's going to be a necessity because there's a lot of guys that need to get some reps. So we'll be able to balance those out.
Mike talked about that, building that rotation, and trying to get enough guys to work together. Talked about how you look at this championship game and how that was kind of a key part of what Georgia was able to do. How important is that for you guys to kind of get that rotation?
Well, it's critical, especially up front. You want to play a bunch of guys. You want to be fresh, throughout the course of the game. And we've gotten our program, what I believe, to the point where we are starting to have that. And that's something we didn't have in those first couple of years, but now I feel like that depth is starting to be there. And the spring is going to be a big test for us to see exactly where we're at.
Does the spring feel different for you guys? I mean, you guys are coming off a 10-win season, obviously, but there's like some momentum maybe gaining for you guys going into this spring.
Yeah, obviously, I'm excited about how we can finish the season from a year ago, because it does give you kind of a jumping off point to start the spring. But each year is its own year, and nothing that we did from a year ago is going to matter in terms of record or scoreboard. So we're going to have to put the work in and have a great spring. But I do like where our guys are at from a mindset standpoint, the work ethic that they've had throughout the course of the offseason. I'm excited to see that show up on Monday when we can get started.
How does the growth of the last 12 months change things for you with that defense? I mean, Jared kind of being what you thought he was, and Patrick's emergence, and obviously adding someone like Gilbert as well.
Yeah, from last year at this time to now, it's two totally different rooms in terms of experience. We went into last spring with a lot of question marks. Jermaine Johnson and Kier had played a majority of the reps in the 2021 season. We were really looking for who was going to step up and fill those roles. Well, now you fast forward a year later, and obviously Jared versus emergence, Derek McClendon being a full-time starter from a year ago, Patrick Payton playing as much as he did, and then getting a guy like Gilbert who who's a starter, who transferred in. All of a sudden you become a real veteran, experienced group, and so it's going to be a different set of challenges, but it's one that I'm excited to start taking on.
What does Gilbert add to that room?
For one, he's a tremendously hard worker. He showed up, he works, he's smart, he's got a lot of experience, and he's got a natural skill set to rush the passer. So I'm excited about Gilbert. We've been fortunate to have some really successful transfers come into the defensive end spot, and I don't see any reason why he can't be kind of the next guy in that role that comes in and has an impact.
The year that Pat just had, I guess, how have you seen that change in mindset, in approach, anything like that? How's he changed?
Well, every year Pat has gotten more confident, more comfortable with what college football is and what he needs to do to be successful. Patrick's a special kid. He's driven, he's hardworking, he's motivated. And I think he's starting to really understand that he has a chance to be a really good player at this level, and potentially have an opportunity to go on and make this a career. So he's been so focused and so locked in on his daily improvement. I've really liked how he's approached his work, and I think he knows he's just starting to scratch the surface of what he can do.
How does that kind of work for you guys? It's been kind of amazing for your last 2 seasons to have 2 transfer ins come in and have success. And is it just the success you guys have that kind of maybe gets people around the country who are interested in saying, I want to kind of go there and continue my career and develop? Is that kind of what the success has been for you guys?
Yeah, I think each year is kind of built on the previous year. Jermaine and Kiera obviously started, and I always look back at those guys. At least from my standpoint, think that they were kind of like the catalyst to getting things going from a transfer standpoint, and that was a big part of Jared coming in. And Jared came in and had great success, and that ultimately became a big part of why Gilbert wanted to come. So I think with each year as we move forward, it's kind of building on the previous year, but it's a good thing, and hopefully we continue to be able to do that as we move forward.
You mentioned Derek. Just how valuable is his experience and consistency in that room?
Derek McClendon? Yeah, Derek has been tremendously consistent. One of the things I appreciate about him is his constant availability and the way he approaches his every day. And I think that's what has allowed him to get better as the years have gone on here. I can't remember a time where he's missed a workout or missed a practice. He's just that guy who's consistently available, and he's just super dependable in everything we ask him to do. And I think that, like I said, I think that's what's led to him to be able to continually get better as his career's gone on.
Byron Turner, I know, is a guy who came in of those defensive linemen in his class, maybe the most ready-made, and has battled injuries and not been able to be healthy. I guess what can a healthy offseason and all that do for him, and what's he bring to that room when he's kind of at the maximum of his powers?
Well, this is really his first off season where he is healthy, and I think he's had a really good off season, really, and I think it showed a little bit on what he was able to do on special teams. He can run, and he's physical, and he brings a lot of energy to the defensive front. I think he's a guy that sometimes it takes a little bit of time for a defensive lineman in terms of development, and he still has 3 years ahead of him. And I think this is going to be a critical spring for him, but I think Byron has a chance to be a real good player here.
Switch in real quick, special teams. I know you brought in a new kicker. I guess what have you seen from him, and I guess what do you expect battle-wise between him and Ryan this offseason?
Yeah, Tyler's had a really, really good 6 weeks, as a big part of the offseason program. We haven't done a lot of kicking where we're involved as coaches. We haven't done any, for that matter. But from all the work that I know he's getting on his own, I know it's going well. Ryan's had a good offseason as well. So I do look forward to watching those guys compete. To me, it's no different than any other position group on your team. You want competitiveness. You want guys to push each other, and that's how your team ultimately gets to be as good as it can be. And it's going to be the same in the kicking spot this spring.